How does one man orchestrate the largest financial fraud in U.S. history, swindling tens of billions of dollars from thousands of people, including his own friends and family? This is the story of Bernie Madoff, a name that has become synonymous with greed, deception, and the catastrophic failure of trust. Bernard Lawrence Madoff started his Wall Street firm, Bernard L. Madoff Investment Securities, back in 1960 with just $5,000. For decades, he built a reputation as a brilliant, reliable, and almost magical investor. He was a pioneer in electronic trading, even serving as the chairman of the Nasdaq stock market. To the outside world, Madoff was the epitome of Wall Street success. His clients, a mix of wealthy individuals, charities, and large financial institutions, were thrilled with the steady, impressive returns he delivered year after year, no matter what the market was doing. If the S&P 500 was down, Madoff's fund was up. If the market was booming, Madoff's fund was still up, delivering consistent gains around 10 to 12%. It seemed too good to be true, and as we all know now, it was. So what was Madoff's secret? It wasn't a revolutionary trading strategy. It was a classic, albeit massive, Ponzi scheme. For those who don't know, a Ponzi scheme is a fraudulent investment operation that pays returns to earlier investors using capital from newer investors, rather than from legitimate investment profits. The whole thing requires a constant flow of new money to survive. Madoff wasn't actually trading or investing his clients' money as he claimed. Instead, he was just depositing it into a Chase bank account. When a client wanted to cash out, he would simply use the money from new investors to pay them. The entire operation was a house of cards, built on lies and fabricated account statements. The investment side of Madoff's firm was a complete sham, run on the 17th floor of the Lipstick Building in Manhattan. This was separate from his legitimate market-making business, which was on a different floor and run by his sons, Mark and Andrew. This separation was crucial. It kept the fraud hidden in plain sight. For years, Madoff cultivated an air of exclusivity. You couldn't just invest with him, you had to be invited. This made people desperate to get in, turning away potential clients to make his fund seem even more desirable. He preyed on social networks, using a system of feeder funds and agents who would bring in new clients from their own communities, often for a hefty commission. This created a web of trust that Madoff expertly exploited. People invested because their friends, family, or respected community leaders had invested and were getting great returns. You might be wondering, how did he get away with it for so long? Decades, in fact. Well, there were red flags, and plenty of them. A financial analyst named Harry Markopolos repeatedly tried to warn the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, starting as early as 2000. He submitted detailed reports outlining why Madoff's returns were mathematically impossible. He basically spelled it out for them, saying the only way Madoff could be achieving these results was if he was running a Ponzi scheme. But for years, the SEC failed to act. They conducted several investigations but were either too inexperienced, too overwhelmed, or perhaps just too intimidated by Madoff's powerful reputation to uncover the truth. Madoff, for his part, was a master of deception. He would charm investigators and provide them with falsified trading records that seemed just plausible enough to pass a superficial inspection. The whole illusion came crashing down in 2008. The global financial crisis hit, and like many investors, Madoff's clients started to get nervous. They wanted their money back. A wave of redemption requests totaling about $7 billion hit Madoff's firm. But the money wasn't there. The constant flow of new investments had dried up due to the market crash, and the house of cards began to wobble. Madoff knew the game was over. In December 2008, he confessed to his two sons, Mark and Andrew. He told them that his investment advisory business was one big lie. He explained that it was all a giant Ponzi scheme. His sons, who had worked with him for years but were kept in the dark about the fraud, were stunned. They did the right thing and immediately went to the authorities. The very next day, Bernie Madoff was arrested by the FBI at his Manhattan apartment. The fallout was immediate and devastating. The collapse of Madoff's scheme wiped out life savings, destroyed charities, and ruined countless lives. The total amount of fraudulent transactions was estimated to be around $65 billion, though the actual cash losses for investors were closer to $18 billion. The human cost was immeasurable. People who thought they were multimillionaires discovered they were penniless overnight. Some had entrusted their entire family fortunes to him. Stories emerged of elderly couples forced to sell their homes, of nonprofits that had to shut their doors, and of families torn apart by financial ruin and betrayal. The psychological toll was immense. Tragically, several people connected to the scandal, including Madoff's own son, Mark, died by suicide in the years that followed. Madoff pleaded guilty to 11 federal felonies, including securities fraud, wire fraud, mail fraud, and perjury. He never went to trial. At his sentencing, he offered a brief apology, but many victims felt it was hollow and insincere. The judge called the crimes extraordinarily evil and sentenced him to the maximum possible sentence, 150 years in federal prison. It was a symbolic sentence, ensuring that he would spend the rest of his life behind bars, a small measure of justice for the thousands he had deceived. Bernie Madoff died in prison in April 2021, but the legacy of his fraud lives on. So what can we learn from this colossal failure? First, the Madoff scandal is a brutal reminder of the old adage, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Consistent, high returns with little to no risk are a huge red flag in the world of investing. Second, it highlights the importance of due diligence. Don't just trust a charismatic salesperson or the word of a friend. Ask tough questions. Demand transparency. Understand where your money is actually being invested, and use third-party custodians to hold your assets, not the advisor's own firm. Finally, the story is a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked power and the failure of regulatory oversight. It prompted calls for major reforms at the SEC and a renewed focus on protecting investors from fraud. The Bernie Madoff saga is more than just a story about money. It's a story about trust, betrayal, and the devastating consequences of one man's greed. It serves as a permanent scar on the history of finance and a powerful lesson for every single investor. Thank you for watching. If you found this story insightful, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into fascinating events. See you next time.